Hello everyone, my name is Sanya Sinha and I am a first year student at Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra. Thank you so much for joining this video. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you the basics of conduction polymers or polytronics, the future of electronics. So please stay tuned. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much. Let me just start screen sharing. Conduction polymers. So we all know that polymers are basically macromolecules that are formed by linkages between various monomeric units. So since hundreds of years, it has been deduced that polymers are basically insulators in nature. That means they don't conduct heat or electricity for that matter. But suddenly out of the blue, you see this topic known as conducting polymers. How can we make polymers conducting? So one experiment conducted by this man known as Hideki Shirikawa in 1977 Tokyo Tech, and he developed polyacetylene after highlighting that polymers have semiconducting properties as well. So these experiments that laid down the genesis for conduction polymers are still widely reputed in the field of electronics. What makes polymers conducting? So it is understood by us that in order to code something conducting or semiconducting, the valence electrons must obtain the energy sufficient enough to promote it to the conduction band, right? So the valence electrons, they travel to the conduction band. So for a polymer to act as conducting, it must possess an overlapping set of molecular orbitals so as to ensure the transfer of an electron through it, as you can see in this animation. So they have an extended p orbital system that is known as a quasi-infinitely or seemingly infinitely extensive system. So it looks as though it is extending up to infinity, but we all know that infinity is a very unapproachable and theoretical concept that cannot be achieved in pragmatic sciences. So the sp2 hybridization, in which the orbitals of the successive carbon atoms, sorry, of these successive carbon atoms lead to electron delocalization along the spine of the polymer, thus ensuring charge mobility. Another important point that we see in this are oxidative and reductive doping. So electron delocalization or mobilization is made possible via oxidative or reductive doping only. So, by changing the number of electrons associated with polymeric backbone, P and N doping can be performed by trivalent and pentavalent doping as well. So, reductive doping stabilizes the polymer by increasing its electron affinity, while oxidative doping does so by recombination of electrons spinless cation with a free radical left after the removal of an electron from it. Alright, so now we are going to be dealing with the synthesis of conduction polymers. So there are mainly two broad methods of synthesizing conduction polymers. The first one is chemical synthesis. So chemical synthesis does not yield a very pure end product, although the product that it yields is very high and optimum in quantity. So it does not have quality, but it has a lot of quantity. Similarly, the second method is electrocopolymerization that deploys the usage of three electrodes. So in the process, three electrodes, the reference electrodes, the counter electrode, and the working electrode are inserted into a solution of monomers. Consequently, a pure output is yielded once you supply voltage through it. So while the product yielded is very good in quality, it is not good in the terms of quantity. That means a very low output is yielded. Now we are heading to the most important topic of conduction polymers. These are the applications of conduction polymers. And I'm sure all of you have heard about these somewhere or the other. 3D printing, rubber electronics in healthcare, electroluminescent display features, and space technology. So 3D culinary and circuitry printing. So as you can see in the first picture, there is a dessert that is trying to be prepared via printing procedures. So 3D printing is based on FDM technology, that is fused developmental modeling technology. And this facilitates 3D printing by stacking 2D layers of ingredients or circuitry cross-sectionally one on top of the other. So 3D printing is an economical yet convenient method for device development, and not just device development, as you can see, for culinary skills development as well as for PCBs, printed circuit boards. So ingredients are introduced into the cartridge, and the ink that is used for the case of printed circuit boards is made up of a very different type of polymeric gel. So consequently, you feed the design that you have created using a CAD tool or a computer-aided design tool into the system, and consequently a printout, just like you take out from your 2D printers, is taken out. Just the only difference is that while the ink that you used is not polymeric in the case of 2D printers, in the case of 3D printers, it is made up of a polymeric gel-like substance. So whatever you want to be assembled is not done by manual labor, but it's actually done by the printer itself. It is used to manufacture printed circuit boards and ultra-thin silicon microchips. It is also used to develop nutrition-oriented food supplies, including printable pizza and dessert, such as the one from DX Industries. The second important application of polytronics is rubber healthcare. So it is used to monitor the heartbeats of sports players and astronauts by weaving their jersey out of rubber, and then you can just simply instill whatever a heartbeat measuring instrument you want inside the rubber. So they are woven out of such a material that the jersey itself can monitor their heartbeat or pulse or whatever simultaneously. Now, artificial nerves and muscles are also being developed these days using rubber healthcare polytronics. So just like you can see in this picture, there are no invasive procedures needed. Artificial nerves and muscles are automatically just made simply by these fibers. And since they are soft and supple in nature, it is very easy to introduce them into the bodies. They provide relief to patients of Parkinson's disease also by methods of electrical stimulation. The next important topic is electroluminescence. So voltage is passed through a reticulated conductive polymeric gel film. And besides for entertainment purposes, it is used in submarines for surveillance. All of us love using high definition displays, right? So OLEDs or organic light emitting diodes don't require any backlighting, cathode tubes, diffusers or polarizers. All they do is they contain two charged electrodes on top of some organic light emitting material, and this allows for maximum efficiency with low power requirement. Now, space technology. Conduction polymers are used in manned or unmanned explorations and satellites. The lightweight nature of these devices would be suitable to introduce built-in computer with spacesuits with sensors to monitor the vitals of the astronauts. Now, they help to provide customized telemedicine as well. Plastic batteries with polymeric gel electrolytes and plastic electrodes are widely used in satellites and are realized by solar energy. Concluding this list, so conduction polymers are very compact and portable, water resistant, recyclable, and therefore they're very environmentally friendly. They are cost effective, much faster, and have low power requirements. Also, there are no big industrial setups needed, as was required in the case of normal electronics, because it is minimized due to no use of photolithography. That was the case of putting like components together. So that's why polytronics is a big step in the future of electronics. Thank you so much. This video was created by me for my recruitment to the Technical Club and for Technocrat of the Year competition. Thank you so much.